What's up, guys? I have a epic battle for you this evening, and we're going to talk about the bare thesis on Tesla. If there's a demand problem, because it's generally a case of whatever comes up in the news, they'll make it into a demand issue, or if it's not about demand, then they'll say it's about Tesla's financials, and it just goes back and forth between a couple different narratives every single quarter. So I wanted to take a look at that in a little bit more thorough of analysis to see what or if that might be true. And what we're going to do is we have four competitors, which would be the Model 3, the BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, and the Mercedes C-Class. Now, we have four competitions they're going to play in. That is Google search, YouTube search, hashtags. So, and then the last one here is website. So each one of these tells a different story, where Google search tells you the search volume for Tesla Model 3 versus these other characters, right? And then we can compare that. Similarly, on YouTube, it's just YouTube is a different. The psychology of people on YouTube is different than it is when they're on Google, is the best way I can say it. People act differently in different environments, just like whether you're around your girlfriend or your wife versus you're at the fucking gym, like playing basketball or something. You just act different, and that's how websites work, where the psychology of the user on YouTube is different than the psychology of the person that's on Google. They just have different intentions at that moment. And so that's why it tells a different story. The next is hashtags, and that to me almost represents the relevance, because if we take a look at the hashtag usage for Tesla Model 3, BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, etc., we'll be able to understand if there's any like conversation going on, if it's ever getting mentioned, if it's getting talked about, right? And so that'll give us an idea of its relevance in the marketplace, because the more that something's talked about, generally speaking, that kind of thing happens. Okay, and lastly, the website. Now that is, I went to their website and I ranked them against each other to see some key characteristics of their websites. I went to Audi A4 website, and then did the same thing at the BMW 3 Series, and then Tesla Model 3 and the Mercedes C-Class. And we're going to take a look at these coming up right now. But before I get into that, if this is your first time here, my name is Sam. What's up? And if you're returning, it's good to fucking see you. All right. With that, let's begin. By the way, did you see John up here in the corner with the smiley face? He's just going to keep an eye out the players here to make sure nobody cheats. All right, so we're going to start here with the macro, and we're going to, by that I almost mean that Google by itself is almost like the macro, because that's where I think Google is the number one site in the entire world. So it's a good barometer of the most macro in a sense. We're not going to look at the global search volume of these players. However, we're going to look at just the United States, and we're going to start at the 12 months out. So that means over the past 12 months, how many people have searched for Mercedes C-Class, etc., for the other players. And we're going to follow that trend from the 12 months up to the most recent data of like the last few hours. So we're going to start, and looking at the 12-month view on this, The Model 3 is substantially ahead of everybody else, and it looks like their lead is gaining over the period of time. Over the past, say, 6 months, it kind of shot up and has just stayed a little bit more relevant. Now, and the only other one that's even slightly close in terms of search volume is the Audi A4, which was kind of interesting to me because Audi A4 is kind of, I don't know, I don't think of Audi A4 as super hip thing to search for on the internet. So that was kind of interesting to me because that's different. It's just off my radar completely. So that was kind of interesting to learn that. And then the 3 Series and the C-Class are both just like at the fucking bottom. Now, moving into, let's say, the past 90 days, the more relevant data, it's the same thing. The average search volume for the Tesla Model 3 is about 35% larger than the average search volume for Audi A4. And the other two, the 3 Series and the C-Class, are just like fucking like teensy tiny little amount of search volume. And if you look at the geographic data, most of the states search more for Tesla Model 3 than they do the Audi A4 on average in a state when you look at the search volume. And Audi actually has greater search volume in the vast majority of the states. So that's kind of interesting. By the way, this is not a plugged-in microphone. It's called a prop, son. All right, so now let's take one more step, and we're going to take a look at the 30 days. I think this is just going to tell us the same story as we move forward. Tesla Model 3, again, above everybody else. We're going to take up one more step to the past 24 hours. Again, about the same thing. I doubt 4-hour difference. So now we're going to step it all the way up to 4 hours. So this is the most recent data here we're looking at. And it's the same exact story. So it's just been a trend of about steady for all the players over it looks like probably the last 90 days. The amount of search volume for each one of these hasn't really gone up or down, but it's been consistently Tesla probably 30 to 45% larger on average than anybody else in terms of search volume. So if we were going to go through and rank them right now, we have a clear winner on Google for Tesla. So one of the things that the bear case, which just means they're betting on the stock to go down, is that there's not enough demand for the Model 3. However, when you look at the data, I mean, it's clearly getting searched for a lot more than anybody else. So somebody here is wrong. Wonder who it might be. Now, tangent, back to reality. We're going to step it out now to YouTube. We're going to go into the next battlefield and see how this looks. Now, I think this might just tell us the same story again. On YouTube over the past 12 months, the average search volume for the Tesla Model 3 is again about 40%, 30% larger than the next closest, which is the Audi A4. So far the results are kind of mimiking what was happening on Google. However, it is clearly evident about 6 months ago there's been a uptick in the search volume on the Tesla Model 3 relative to everybody else, and nobody else really moved. And then let's step it into 90 days right now and take a look at this. Okay, there's been an increase in the Model 3 over the last 90 days in terms of how much it's been searched for on YouTube. And if you look at the geographic breakdown, Tesla Model 3 is, I don't even know if I should move on because Tesla's just destroying it. Let's quickly just jump ahead again to the 30-day, and we'll make this pretty brief. They're about 1.5 times bigger than the next closest one in the 30-day view. The 7 days, again, about 40%, maybe 45% bigger than the next closest one. And it's not like all three of the other cars are searched like relatively close. It's like Tesla, Model 3 way up here, and then Audi like 30 to 40% less. And then all the other ones are just like fucking way down here in terms of the BMW 3 Series. And the Mercedes, those two players are just getting fucking really beat up on YouTube and Google because they are horribly in terms of relevance on these platforms. Now let's just go into the past 24 hours, and then this is all I'm going to take a look at. Yep, same exact thing here. So let's jump on to gauging who won that category. I think you guys already know. Oh shit! That round went to the Model 3. So far we have 2 wins for the Model 3 and none for these other players. Now let's take a look at the hashtag usage on Instagram and on Twitter. We're going to take a look at 3 things here. So this website that I'm on right now tracks hashtags on Instagram and Twitter. And it comes up with a popularity score that they base it off of some criteria that's not super relevant or super evident on their website. So I don't know exactly how they rank it. I'm assuming it's in terms of a volume of usage. I would expect or something relative to that. That only seems logical. And then we're going to take a look at the 8 weeks of data, so over the last 2 months, and see how that is trending. And we're going to go through this a little bit more quickly. So we're going to start on Tesla, and their popularity is 46.2. So it doesn't, I'm not sure if like that's a low score or a high score, but at first glance, if that's relative to 100 and everybody else is like at 75, then that's probably not super great. But we'll see. Now taking a look at the 8-week, and it looks, yeah, it's definitely up and to the right. Clearly, it started at around 11, and so there's a ranking on the side. I'm assuming this is the volume of usage. It would probably be around 11,000, 2 months ago, to maybe 16,000 in terms of usage for the Tesla Model 3 hashtag on Instagram and Twitter. Now, BMW has a popularity of 31.3, about a third less than Tesla Model 3. And over the past 2 months, when you look at the trend of usage of their hashtag, they are, remember how Tesla was, they started around 11,000 and then they've been going up and they're at 16. The popularity of BMW 3 Series hashtag started at roughly 0, and it may be up to 1,000. So it looks like it has grown. If you started at a base of 0 and you get up to 1,000, that's tremendous growth, especially over a 8-week period. However, it's just very, very, very small amount, and it could be rounding to, maybe it's just above 500 and they just round it to thousands, it looks like. So I'm not exactly sure on that. But next we're going to jump over to the Audi A4, and their popularity is also lower than the Tesla Model 3, and it comes in at 38.6. So a little bit above the BMW, but not anywhere near the Tesla. And again, their hashtag is the same thing, barely any fucking usage at all. It's actually trended down more recently. Now the C-Class, so this is the very, very unpopular one, at a 17.3, so about half as popular as the BMW, which was about a third as popular as the Mercedes. So this is insane, and there's no usage of that hashtag. I guess we should have guessed on that one. So clearly, we're going to not even have to really do much on this one. We already know that hashtags for these other companies are not fucking relevant at all. Like, nobody's fucking using them. Nobody's talking about their shit. What happens when people start talking about things? Things happen. You know what I mean? Like, that's why you get demand for the Model 3. You know what I mean? Because people are talking about it. It's just insane to think about. There's no relevance online about these other brands. Only Tesla. Now, let's take a look at their websites. And we're going to go through this one really quickly. We're going to take a look at their ranking, and we are going to take a look at the average time somebody spends on that site per visit per day and over the past 90 days. So we've got 3 things to look at, 3 separate categories to judge each one of these players on. We're going to start with the Tesla Model 3. Now, this global ranking for their website is 1,706. So on a global basis, their website ranks under 2,000th in terms of popularity. That's incredible when you think about it. Average time on their site per day, per visit, is 5 minutes and 23 seconds. And then if we look at it over the past 90 days, it has actually been losing steam. It is going down and to the right. It is not tremendous. It started out at 1,300 roughly, and now it's at 1,700, so about 400 spots. But let's take a look at BMW so we have something relative to go off of. Okay, well, BMW is definitely not anywhere close in terms of popularity. It's about 5 times less popular. It comes in at 9,350 for its ranking on a global basis of websites. And the daily time spent on the site per visit is 3 minutes and 36 seconds. So it looks like these first 2 categories are going to Tesla. Now let's take a look at the 90-day trend for their website, and theirs is up and to the right. So they are gaining in popularity while Tesla is losing in popularity from their website. However, obviously one is very, very far back there, relatively speaking, about 5 times. Now, Audi. Okay, Audi's is actually kind of interesting. We're going to start at the 90-day view, and we're going to look at it, and there's no clear trend when it comes to the 90-day for Audi A4, their website. It just kind of like goes like this across the entire 90 days, roughly, and ends up almost exactly where it started, which is about 14,750th. In terms of a global popularity of its website. So that is even less popular than the BMW site. Now, the time on the site is 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Because remember, why is time important? Because that is what is going to drive people's behavior. So if you can take over somebody's time, you're able to do a lot of things with that, make a lot of money. So next is the Mercedes, and we'll go the same route on this one and start at the 90-day, and it is also up and to the right. So they are winning in terms of this category so far. They started about 12,500th and finished with about 11,000th. So they've had a substantial increase in popularity. Good for Mercedes, whatever they're doing. And the time on the site is 4 minutes and 23 seconds. So they are substantially more, which is kind of interesting when you think about this. They are more, they have more people, longer duration of people staying on their site, but BMW and Audi by like a substantial margin. However, if you think back, BMW had a higher ranking than them. So that was kind of interesting. So that must mean that the BMW gets significantly more traffic to make it rank at 9,000. Anyways, this category, you could make a case for some of these other players, but I'm gonna go with Tesla because they are 5 times more popular than the next closest, which is BMW. Even if they've lost a little bit of steam recently, they are just 5 times more popular of a website. So if you didn't know, Tesla won. So what do you think is going to happen with Tesla demand going forward? Let me know down below in the comments. If you want to see more commentary like this and analysis like this, press that subscribe button and that little bell notification so YouTube can notify you every time I post a video. You guys have any ideas for videos, jump over to Instagram and say what's up. Peace.